Good morning, students. So, again, we have to discuss the chapter Working of Institution, grade 9th, page 64. So, here we have to discuss political executive. And the most important question which can be asked is distinguish between political executive and the permanent executive. Or why do the political executive they have more powers than the permanent executive? So, in this way, the question can be asked. So now let's again recall the story of office memorandum with which we started this chapter. We found out that the person who signed the document did not take this decision. He was only executing the policy decision, which was taken by someone else. And we noted the role of the Prime Minister also in taking that decision. But we also know that he could not have taken that decision if he did not have the support of the Lok Sabha. So, in that sense, he was only executing the wishes of the parliament. Thus, at different levels of any government, we find official functionaries who take day to day decisions but do not exercise supreme power on behalf of the people. All those functionaries are collectively known as executives. So, they are called executive because they are in charge of the execution of the policies of the government. So, thus, when we talk about the government, we usually mean the executive. So now let's differentiate between political and permanent executive. So political executive they are elected by the people and so they are answerable to the people. Political executive they are makers of the law and the policies. Political executives are elected by the people and can be changed in the next elections. Political executive they means they change with the change in the government, and permanent executive on the other hand are appointed by the government, so they work under the political executive. They are in charge of the execution of the policies of the government. They are permanent and remain in office even when the ruling party changes, and they do not change with the change in the government. So in this way we will write about the differentiation between political executive and permanent executive. So why now the question arises, why have the political executives have more power than the non-political executives? So simple, because in a democracy the will of the people is supreme and the political executive is elected by the people. All the political executives are answerable to the people, and the people can change them if they don't work according to the wishes of the people. And the non-political executive, that is the permanent executive, are the experts in their field, but political executive they have to see the welfare of the people, and the experts can tell them the route, but the political executive have a larger view, so they decide the destination. So in this way you can write this question, you can attempt this question also. So now page 65, students, here we have to talk about Prime Minister and the Council of Minister. So Prime Minister is the most important political institution in the country, yet there is no direct election to the post of Prime Minister. So Prime Minister is not directly elected, rather they are indirectly elected. The President appoints the Prime Minister, but the President cannot appoint anyone he or she likes. The President appoints the leader of the majority party or the coalition of the parties that command a majority in the Lok Sabha as the Prime Minister. And in case no single party or alliance gets the majority, the President appoints the person most likely to secure a majority support. So here the President can use his discretionary powers. The Prime Minister does not have a fixed tenure. He continues in power so long as he remains the leader of the majority party or the coalition. So after the appointment of the Prime Minister, the President appoints other minister on the advice of the Prime Minister. So Council of Minister is selected by Prime Minister only, and the ministers are usually from the party or the coalition that has the majority in the Lok Sabha. So all the ministries will be given to MPs of that party only, which is having the majority in the Lok Sabha. And the Prime Minister is free to choose ministers as long as they are the members of the parliament. And if a person who is not a member of the parliament can also become a minister, but such a person has to get elected to one of the houses of the parliament within 6 months of the appointment as a minister. So this is a condition. Now, Council of Minister is the official name for the body that include all the minister. It usually has 60 to 80 minister of different ranks. So, like cabinet ministers are there. These are the usually top level leaders of the ruling party or the parties who are in charge of the major ministries. So, cabinet minister these are the close ministers, you can say, of the prime minister. And usually the cabinet ministers, they meet to take decisions in the name of the council of ministers. So regular meetings are held of the prime minister with this cabinet ministers, and cabinet is inner ring of the council of minister, and it is a inner wheel. It comprises about 20 ministers. Then we have minister of state with independent charge. These are usually in charge of smaller ministries. They participate in the cabinet meetings only when specially invited. So only when they are called, they will attend or participate in the meeting. Then minister of state, they are attached to and required to assist the cabinet minister. So this is the bifurcation of our council of minister. We have cabinet minister, we have minister of state with independent charge, and we have minister of state. Then after this, since it is not practical for all ministers to meet regularly, I told you, and discuss everything, the decisions are taken in the cabinet meetings. That is why the parliamentary democracy is often also known as cabinet form of government nowadays. And the cabinet works as a team, and the minister may have different views and opinion, but everyone has to obey the decision of the cabinet. So page 66, students, I was talking about the council of minister. We have seen the cabinet minister, minister of state with independent charge, minister of state, and then I was talking about that cabinet, it work as a team, and no minister can openly criticize any decision of the government, even if it is about any other ministry or department. And every ministry has secretaries who are civil servants, and these secretaries, they provide the necessary background information to the minister to take the decision, because minister might not be having all the technical expertise or the knowledge required to take the policy decisions. So this information, this kind of knowledge is provided by the team which consists of the secretaries, which are the civil servants. And the cabinet as a team is assisted by the cabinet secretaries, and this include many senior civil servants who try to coordinate the working of the different ministries. So on the same page 66, now comes the powers of prime minister. So we have to see what real powers the prime minister enjoys. The constitution does not say very much about the powers of the prime minister or the ministers or their relationship with each other, but as a head of the government, the prime minister has a wide ranging power. He presides the cabinet meetings. He coordinates the work of different departments. His decisions are final. In case any disagreement is there, any dispute is there between the departments, so his decision will be final. He exercises general supervision of different ministries. All ministers work under his leadership. Prime Minister redistributes the work to the minister. He also has power to dismiss the ministers. When Prime Minister quits, the entire ministry quits. Thus, if the cabinet is the most powerful institution in India, within the cabinet it is the Prime Minister who is the most powerful. So the powers of the Prime Minister in all parliamentary democracies of the world have also increased so much in the recent years that parliamentary democracies are sometimes known as prime ministerial form of government. As political parties have come to play a major role in politics, the prime minister controls the cabinet and the parliament through these parties. And the media also contribute to this trend by making politics and election as a competition between the top leaders of the party. And in India too, we have seen this tendency towards the concentration of the power in the hands of prime minister. Jawaharlal Nehru are the first prime minister of India. He exercised enormous authority because he had a great influence over the public. People used to like him because he participated. They have given so much to the India's freedom struggle. Indira Gandhi, she was also a very powerful leader compared to her colleagues in the cabinet because of their personality, aura. They command the respect of the masses. And of course, the extent of the power uh, wielded by prime minister also depends on the personality of the person holding that position. So if the person is having charismatic personality, he or she is a good orator, so they command the respect of the masses. However, in recent years, the rise of coalition politics has imposed certain constraints on the power of the prime minister, because it is very difficult to work under the coalition government. It provides political instability also.